Hey everyone, welcome back. Why empaths attract people who secretly resent. Their light, Carl Jung. Carl Jung original. Have you ever wondered why, as an empath, you seem to attract people who initially seem drawn to your energy, only to later discover they harbor deep resentment toward the very qualities that made them seek you out in the first place? Carl Jung, the legendary Swiss psychiatrist, uncovered a dark psychological truth that explains this phenomenon perfectly. And by the end of this video, you'll understand not just why this happens, but how to protect yourself from these toxic dynamics forever. If you've ever felt drained by people who claim to love your positive energy but then subtly try to dim your light. If you've attracted friends or partners who seem to resent your happiness, your growth, or your natural ability to see the good in others, then this video will change everything for you. We're diving deep into one of Jung's most profound insights about human psychology, the shadow self, and how it creates this magnetic yet destructive attraction between empaths and those who secretly resent them. We'll explore the psychological mechanics behind this toxic attraction, Jung's concept of the shadow and how it manifests in relationships, why empaths become unconscious targets for projection, 7 warning signs that someone resents your light, and most importantly, how to break free from this cycle forever. But first, let me tell you a story that might sound eerily familiar. Sarah was the kind of person people instantly felt comfortable around. She had this natural ability to make others feel seen, heard, and valued. Her co-workers sought her advice. Friends called her during their darkest moments, and strangers would often open up to her in coffee shops. But Sarah noticed a disturbing pattern. The very people who seemed most drawn to her warmth would eventually turn on her. Her best friend became passive-aggressive when Sarah got promoted. Her romantic partner, who initially said he loved her pure heart, began criticizing her for being too positive and naive about the real world. Sarah's story isn't unique. It's the story of empaths everywhere, and Jung's psychology explains exactly why this happens. Before we can understand why empaths attract resentment, we need to understand Carl Jung's most revolutionary concept, the shadow self. Jung believed that every human being carries within them 2 fundamental aspects: the persona, the face we show to the world, and the shadow, all the parts of ourselves we've rejected, denied, or pushed into the unconscious. Think of it this way. Imagine your psyche as an iceberg. The tip above water is your conscious mind, your persona, everything you accept about yourself. But beneath the surface lies this massive shadow, all your repressed emotions, your denied traits, your unlived potential. Let's say someone grows up in a household where expressing joy or excitement was seen as attention-seeking or unrealistic. They learn to suppress these parts of themselves. But here's the crucial point. Jung discovered these shadow elements don't disappear. They remain active in the unconscious, influencing behavior in ways we don't recognize. Now here's where it gets fascinating for empaths. When someone with a heavily suppressed shadow encounters an empath, who naturally embodies the qualities they've rejected in themselves: joy, authenticity, emotional openness, optimism, something powerful happens in their unconscious mind. Imagine someone who deep down has always wanted to be more emotionally open and authentic, but learned early in life that these traits were weak or inappropriate. Their shadow contains this unlived authenticity. When they encounter an empath who naturally embodies these qualities, their unconscious mind experiences what Jung called fascination. Initially, they're drawn to the empath like a moth to flame. The empath represents everything their shadow longs to express. There's an unconscious recognition. This person has what I've rejected in myself. But here's where the toxic dynamic begins. Because they've spent years, maybe decades, rejecting these qualities in themselves, they can't simply appreciate them in others. Instead, their ego feels threatened. Their internal critic, which has worked overtime to suppress these traits, now turns outward. This is why you might hear comments like, "You're too sensitive," when they're actually jealous of your emotional intelligence. You see everything through rose-colored glasses. When they resent your ability to find hope, you're naive about how the world really works. When they're bitter about losing their own idealism, you make everything about feelings. When they're terrified of their own emotional depth, Jung discovered something profound about why certain people trigger such strong reactions in us. He called it the mirror effect. Empaths, without realizing it, become mirrors for other people's shadow material. When an empath interacts with someone, their natural tendency to be authentic, emotionally available, and genuinely caring creates an unconscious contrast. The person begins to see, reflected back to them, all the ways they've shut down their own heart, all the parts of themselves they've rejected. Let me share another story. Michael was a successful businessman who prided himself on being realistic and tough. He met Lisa, an empath who worked in social services at a networking event. Initially, he was fascinated by her passion for helping others, her emotional intelligence, her ability to see potential in everyone. But as they began dating, Michael became increasingly critical. He'd make snide comments about her bleeding heart mentality. He'd dismiss her intuitive insights as unscientific. He'd mock her optimism as childish. What Michael couldn't see was that Lisa was triggering his own buried compassion, his own repressed desire to make a meaningful difference in the world. His shadow contained a sensitive, caring person who wanted to help others. But he'd rejected these parts of himself as impractical and weak. Lisa wasn't doing anything wrong. She was simply being herself. But her authentic presence was holding up a mirror to Michael's unlived life, and his ego couldn't tolerate what it saw. This is the hidden dynamic in so many empath relationships. You become an unconscious reminder of what others have given up in themselves. And instead of doing the difficult inner work of reclaiming these rejected parts, it's easier for them to try to dim your light. I can see from the comments that many of you are having aha moments right now. This is exactly why I create content like this. Because understanding these psychological patterns can be genuinely life-changing. If you know another empath who needs to hear this, please share this video with them. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to protecting your emotional well-being. Now that we understand the psychology, let's get practical. Here are 7 warning signs that someone in your life secretly resents your light, based on Jung's insights about shadow projection. Warning sign 1. Initial intense fascination followed by criticism. They're initially almost obsessed with your positive qualities, but gradually become your biggest critic for having those same qualities. This flip happens because the initial fascination was there, shadow recognizing what it wanted, but their ego eventually reasserts control. Warning sign 2. They minimize your gifts as too much. Comments like, "You're too kind, too caring, too optimistic." Jung understood that when someone consistently tells you that your positive traits are excessive, they're usually struggling with having rejected those qualities in themselves. Warning sign 3. Competitive rather than celebratory. Instead of genuinely celebrating your successes or growth, they find ways to compete or one-up you. This happens because your achievements trigger their shadows, awareness of their own unlived potential. Warning sign 4. Emotional manipulation through shame. They make you feel guilty for your natural empathic responses. You're being dramatic. You're too emotional. You make everything about feelings. This is their ego's attempt to suppress in you what they've suppressed in themselves. Warning sign 5. Sabotage disguised as helping. They offer advice or reality checks that consistently discourage your growth or dim your enthusiasm. Jung would recognize this as their shadow's attempt to keep you at their level of emotional suppression. Warning sign 6. Inconsistent behavior. They flip between seeming to value your empathic nature and punishing you for it. This inconsistency reflects their internal conflict. Part of them craves what you represent, while part of them resents it. Warning sign 7. They drain your energy consistently. Every interaction leaves you feeling depleted, confused, or questioning yourself. Jung understood that when someone is projecting their shadow onto you, it creates an energetic drain because you're unconsciously carrying their rejected material. Here's the good news. Once you understand this dynamic, you can break free from it. Jung believed in the power of making the unconscious conscious. And that's exactly what we're going to do. Step 1. Recognize the pattern without taking it personally. When someone resents your light, it's not actually about you. It's about their relationship with their own rejected aspects. This doesn't excuse toxic behavior, but understanding it helps you maintain your center. Step 2. Stop trying to prove your worth. Many empaths get caught in the trap of trying to tone themselves down to make others comfortable. Jung would say this is allowing others to project their shadow rejection onto you. Your light doesn't need to be dimmed for others' comfort. Step 3. Practice conscious boundary setting. Set clear boundaries around how people are allowed to speak to and treat you. If someone consistently criticizes your empathic nature, limit your exposure to them. You don't owe anyone access to your energy. Step 4. Surround yourself with shadow-integrated people. Seek relationships with people who've done their own inner work, who can appreciate your gifts without feeling threatened. These are people who've reclaimed their own rejected aspects and don't need to project them onto you. Step 5. Trust your empathic intuition. Your empathic gifts often pick up on these dynamics before your logical mind does. If someone feels off to you, even if you can't explain why, trust that instinct. Jung greatly valued intuition as a form of unconscious wisdom. Step 6. Don't try to fix or save them. This is crucial. You cannot heal someone else's shadow for them. The impulse to help them see or love them into wholeness often keeps you trapped in the toxic dynamic. Their shadow work is their responsibility. Here's what I want you to understand. Your empathic gifts are not too much. They're not naive or unrealistic or weak. They're rare and precious qualities that this world desperately needs. Jung believed that individuals who could hold and express the full spectrum of human emotion and experience were essential for collective healing. That's you. That's what you represent. When someone resents your light, they're really grieving their own lost connection to these qualities. Have compassion for that pain, but don't sacrifice your authenticity to soothe their unprocessed shadow. The right people, the ones who've done their inner work, will celebrate your light, not resent it. They'll be inspired by your empathy, not threatened by it. They'll encourage your growth, not try to diminish it. Your job is not to dim yourself for others' comfort. Your job is to shine authentically and let that light attract the right people, while naturally repelling those who aren't ready for that level of authenticity. If this video has helped you understand a pattern you've been experiencing, I want to hear about it in the comments. Share your story. It helps other empaths feel less alone in this experience. And here's your homework. This week, I want you to notice if there's anyone in your life who fits these patterns we've discussed. You don't have to take action yet. Just notice. Awareness is the first step to transformation. If you want to dive deeper into protecting your empathic energy and building healthy relationships, make sure you're subscribed with notifications on. I'll be sharing more insights from Jungian psychology specifically for empaths. Remember, the world needs your light. Don't let anyone convince you to hide it. As Jung himself said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. For empaths, this means honoring your gifts, protecting your energy, and shining your light unapologetically. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.